Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining our Thales Nutanix integration webinar. Um, today I'm joined by two of my colleagues, Karen Hoek, she's the Business Development Manager for Nutanix, and Mathis Massé, he's our technical colleague for Nutanix here at Excluded Networks. We'll first start with an introduction of Thales, then Nutanix, and then Mathis will show you the integration. So we'll kick it off with Thales, and today we're talking about the Thales Cloud and Protection Licensing Unit, which consists of two branches. The first one is Identity and Access Management, and the second one is Data Protection. And today we're talking about the Data Protection branch of Thales. Data Protection branch has a lot of different products and solutions that help you face new security challenges, help you to be compliant with new rules, and they can help you with protecting your data in general, for example, by encryption, or we also have things for key management, and so on. There are three big products groups. The first one is the Luna Network HSM, or Hardware Security Module, which can be used for storing your keys and managing your keys for your encryption. This is a hardware solution, but Thales also has an online marketplace where you can buy HSM and key management services, which is called Data Protection on Demand, or in short, DPOD. The second product is the CipherTrust Data Security Platform, and that's the product we're going to be talking about today, and we will show you the integration with Nutanix with that product. The third one, sorry, is the high-speed network encryptor, which is all you need to encrypt your data in motion. For example, between your data centers or to your disaster recovery sites, you can use the high-speed network encryptors for that. So today, the implementation of data security is rather complex. It's not really that easy. There are a few different key areas that are important to talk about. The first one is the massive data growth we're all seeing and facing, which keeps on growing and makes it really difficult to have no view of all your data. There's also a lot of compliancy all around the world. There are more than 1,800 different privacy laws worldwide. And of course, there's also a lot of data breaches going on nowadays. More and more, I think, basically every day there will be somewhere a data breach in the world. So because of all this complexity, it's also really hard to secure and control all your data. You don't know where your data is. A lot of companies don't know where or how their sensitive data is stored, or how many sensitive data they have. Not all the data is organized and classified. So that makes it, again, really hard. So basically, there are three pillars you need to look at to protect your data. First one is you have to discover your data. You have to be able to classify your data. And then, of course, you need to be able to protect that data. Your sensitive data can't be just somewhere in the cloud without any protection. You need to be able to encrypt it. And the third one is, of course, you need to be able to control all that data. You need to know who's accessing the data, and you need a centralized key management. So the CipherTrust Data Security Platform of Thales can cover all those. It can cover those three pillars for you. And we'll be looking in detail a bit on what's included in the product. The first part, of course, the discovery and classification. We've already talked about that. The second part is encryption and tokenization. There's a solution for data at rest to encrypt those. There's a solution for your databases. You can really encrypt on a column level in a database. You can encrypt applications at the application level. And of course, you can use tokenization to protect your sensitive data. You can, for example, switch out credit card information, for example. And the third pillar is key management, which is obviously really important. the CipherTrust Data Security Platform offers enterprise key management for all your different third-party devices and for example, databases. But also you can manage your cloud keys. So all the encryption you need in the cloud, for example, for Azure or Google Cloud, you can own your own keys, bring your own encryption, bring your own key to the cloud with the Cloud Key Manager. So there are a lot of different reasons to adopt this solution. Of course, we're not going to go into detail of all of those. I think the main important ones are that you are able to discover and protect your data in one single platform, that you can monitor that data and check who's accessing it, and you can report on all those actions. And of course, the importance of a partner ecosystem, like for example, today we'll be showing the ecosystem together with Nutanix. There are different use cases, of course, as mentioned. We have the key management for the databases. We have one for web servers and open source apps like HashiCorp and Nginx, for example. You can work with the cloud, Azure, Office 365, and also with storage products or hyperconverged storage, like Nutanix, for example. So in short, why do you need to use CipherTrust Data Security Platform? Because of the complete integration in one platform, because of the big ecosystem, the possibility of the centralized key management, and of course, the multiple use cases you can cover. Thank you very much. And with that, I'll hand it over to Karen, my colleague, who will be talking about Nutanix.
Thank you, Jeff. Well, for those who don't know Nutanix, Nutanix can bring you to a journey to the cloud, because we face a lot of challenges in the new digital economy. With Nutanix, we can deliver a new way of cloud infrastructure in an on-premise environment. So what are the challenges in regards to traditional infrastructure? So we see a lot of enterprises working with traditional infrastructure, which is siloed and which is very complex to manage. Deployment of applications, for instance, can be really time-consuming, and how to keep pace with security, compliancy. In traditional infrastructure, there is a lack of visibility, because if we integrate public cloud services, traditional services, what is in the cloud, what is on-premise? And also traditional infrastructure can be very unpredictable. So how to make upgrades, adding storage, etc., with no downtime and with optimizing the cost associated with that. So Nutanix can bring you an answer, because what if we could offer a cloud platform to the enterprise where there is no downtime, no silos, where we can deliver visibility across data, platforms, and our applications, where we can have an unmatched security with it, and of course, predictable operations, so we know what the cost is. So this is what Nutanix can offer. We offer data center services with storage, networking, with a business continuity, and with disaster recovery functionality. We also offer DevOps services, so automated applications, automated cloud native application deployment, database as a service. We also offer desktop services, so for the VDIs, digital workspaces, Nutanix is really the cloud platform to use. And it's all backed by hyper-converged infrastructure services with a single pane of glass management, where you also can integrate private cloud services, public cloud services. You can move your workloads, your applications from one platform to another, and you can manage it all with a single click and seamless operations. And it's not only for VDI use cases, but Nutanix can be deployed in different use cases. For instance, analytics, cloud native, remote office development, and so on. So in short, Nutanix combines compute, storage, and virtualization in one single defined software appliance to provide you with an on-premise enterprise cloud platform and with all the security and control you need, and with, of course, agility, rapid deployment time, scalability, and a single pane of glass management. So all the advantages that we know in public cloud can now be deployed in our on-premise private cloud infrastructure.
Thank you, Karen, for that introduction to Nutanix. And with that, I'll hand it over to Matthias to show you the integration.
Hi, thanks, Jeff. So we'll talk about the integration today. I will be showing you the environment I set up and how you can integrate CipherTrust Key Manager together with Nutanix to do software data encryption. So basically, I have a current cluster which runs the CipherTrust VM in this case. So you can have the physical or the virtual, no problem. But in this case, we run it virtual on another Nutanix cluster because of security purposes. Nutanix even blocks running the CipherTrust or the key manager on the same system as the one you're trying to encrypt. So basically, if you will be running the CipherTrust VM on the cluster that needs to be encrypted, Nutanix will give you a warning and will prohibit you from enabling software encryption. So basically, we have this system. We have the CipherTrust Manager, which is running now, and we have the target system, which we will be encrypting in a while. But before we need to do that, there's some configuration that needs to be done both on the CipherTrust side as the Nutanix side. So we will start with the CipherTrust side. Because one of the steps we will do in this demo and something that will be done in production environments as well is creating your own certificate authority to do your certificate generation to make sure that everything that you create is signed with your CA. So basically you can use external CAs, but in this example, we will create a new local certificate authority that's just used for the software encryption of Nutanix. So in this case, we will go to CA and we will provide a new local CA. Basically, we'll give it a name. We'll choose our algorithm. In this case, we will just use an RSA 2048 key. And we will have our requirements filled in as well. Once you create that, it needs to be signed. So you have the pending CAs. We will click on the CA we just created. For this case, normally 365 days is a little short. It depends on your environment as well. For this case, we're going to set 10 years. And then we're going to self-sign. And this will basically activate our locally created certificate authority, which we can use to add in the Nutanix as well. So I'm going to save this one because we will need it later on. So basically we have the CipherTrust site for now completed. This was the most important step, that we have our own root CA. Then we're going to go to the correct Nutanix. And to have software encryption, you need to have the ultimate licensing enabled. Then you have the option of either doing software encryption, which is in this case because we don't have hardware encrypted drives. But in the case you have self-encrypting drives, you can also do the hardware encryption as well. Basically, it's the same kind of steps, only when you activate the encryption, you have the choice to do the hardware encryption as well. So for now, we don't have any configuration, so we're basically starting from scratch. There's something that needs to be done. So in this case, we're going to use an external key management server, which is the CipherTrust server. Here we will enter our CSR request details. So basically, all the certificates that are being generated for the different nodes will have this information included. So we'll just add this one real quick. We will save the info. Now we have two additional steps, which is adding the key management server and adding the key management server CA certificates. So in this case, we're going to add our newly created CipherTrust system and the default port. And then we will add our certificate authority, which we just created. I'll save it on the one side. Just a second. I'll re-download it because I forgot where I saved it. That's better. So now that's done, we can go ahead and start creating the CSRs for every node in the cluster and also generating the required profiles and certificates for the authentication. So here we can download it for all nodes. Once that's done, we can go back to the CipherTrust Manager and go to KMIP to create all the profiles. So basically, we're going to create one profile per node. And just to keep it simple, I'm just using the IP addresses. This makes it a lot easier to remember. And then we need to copy all the data from the CSR into this field, and then everything will be populated. So we have imported or created the client profiles for the 4 nodes. Next step, we will need to have a registration token, which is used to create the certificate. And that certificate will be imported into the Nutanix environment to do the authentication and to identify the Nutanix nodes. So we will do this step again for every node. If you'd like, there's command line, you can provide JSON files, so it can also be automated. But in this case, we will be doing it manually. We will select our locally created CA, especially because demo. Now we need to select the correct client profile. So in this case, we will take the one that's corresponding to the IP address we created. Now we have a token, which will be used later on to do the registration. So I'll just save this later on. And we will do this step for every node. Okay, now we have generated all the registration tokens. Now we need to register every client in the system as well. And for this, we need a name. In this case, we're just going to use the IP address throughout the entire configuration. Now we need the registration token, which we created earlier in the previous step. And then we can save the certificate for that specific client. And then we will repeat the steps for each client we created, for each node basically. All right, we have all the certificates. The clients generated, they are registered, we have their certificates, and there's only one thing that we need to do is to make sure that the Nutanix can log in. And then we need to make sure that we also add our CA that we just created. And we're going to make sure that they can log in only based on the client certificate. Once that's done, we can go back to our Nutanix cluster. And basically, you can also add multiple key management services, servers for redundancy, and we will manage the certificates on a per KMS server system. So here we can upload the files that we just created. And if all goes well, we will see that every node gets their proper certificate, and then we will test if the certificate is correctly configured and if the communication is okay. So we click submit. Everything is uploaded, and then we'll now test all nodes. And it failed. We need to restart the services to make sure that the interface for the key management system is updated with the correct protocol, so they can just use certificate-based authentication. So we're back now, and the CipherTrust Manager has restarted. I forgot to restart the service to apply the changes which I had done to the interface. So if we now go back to Nutanix and we do the test all nodes, everything is okay because Nutanix uses the client certificate to do the authentication. So now we're ready to do the encryption, to enable encryption. All the rest is configured. So when we go back to the previous screen, we will see that everything is okay and everything is configured correctly. And we can go ahead and enable encryption. Once we do this, if you're running Hyper-V or VMware as a hypervisor, you will be able to encrypt the storage on a container level. So you can have containers which have encrypted data and containers without. If you use HV, encryption is cluster-wide on all data. So it's important to keep in mind that with VMware and Hyper-V, you have the choice, and with HV, it's encrypting everything or nothing. So in this case, we're going to encrypt. It's an HV cluster, so everything will be encrypted. So now this is starting up, so the decryption is started. If we go back to CipherTrust Manager and we go to the admin settings, to the key settings. Now we'll see there's a few keys generated, and these are generated based on the Nutanix connection. So we don't see that much. But what's important in this case, we have 6 keys that are configured, 5 of which are for Nutanix. We could go here, we will see that encryption is running on the different containers as well. What I can do to show you how it works is if we go to storage, and we create a new storage container, test encryption, it's basically simple test, and it will be encrypted by default. So just click save. When we go back here and we refresh, we will see that we have 7 keys now. So there's a key created per storage container. In case something happens and it's necessary, you can also do a rekey on everything. So in this case, I will show you. If we do a rekey, we'll just click here. And then you get the status that the encryption keys were changed successfully. If we go back here, we will see that now we have a lot more keys and they were newly generated as well. So if it's necessary, you can just rekey your entire cluster. What is also important is that you do a key backup. So in case something happens or the KMS has a problem, you can still use the key backup to decrypt your data on the cluster as well. So this concludes my demo. This is a simple setup how you can configure data at rest encryption on Nutanix in combination with the CipherTrust key management server. If you have hardware encrypted drives, you can use them as well. The procedure is the same. You only get the choice to, instead of doing just software, do the hardware encryption. I hope you found this insightful. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us, and then I will give it back to Chef.
Thank you, Matthias, for the demo. And that will end our webinar. If there are any more questions, as Matthias mentioned, please contact us and we'll be more than happy to answer them for you. Thank you, and hope to see you the next time.